This is the Fifth Estate winning headlines, your media police post. In this segment, we summarize some of the headlines that you might have missed this morning. But we also take a look at the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 24th of June, 2019, and I am 2J.
I am 2M.
And I am Miss K, your host. Again, in case you missed it, this is Winning Headlines. Let's take a look at today's headlines. The Standard, Uhuru allies back Tuju on Ruto threat.
Yes.
The Star, Murathe, Uhuru will not hand power to a thief. And Daily Nation, 3 billion bill for no work on SGR line.
Whoa.
Boring.
Before we ascend here, we continue
Yes.
with this. Something has happened today.
Yes.
4 ministers went to record statements with the DCI today. They were summoned. And then one CS Munya stands before cameras and says that he can confirm that the Deputy President, William Ruto, made a call to DCI and said that on the 14th of May at Lamada Hotel, there was a plot hatched to assassinate him.
Yeah.
Right? What Munya said to me is earth-shaking, because what he is saying is that these people who are seen to be allied to the president have planned to assassinate him, which is actually saying that none other than President Uhuru Kenyatta has planned to assassinate his deputy.
Those are
Right.
tough words. And I don't know if we can push it that far without it being speculation. Because, and I will repeat what our professor said, you cannot call yourselves to a meeting, send yourselves letters, give yourselves 15 days, working days notice,
Yes.
use your banderas, fly through Thika Road,
Can you
get
imagine?
to Lamada Hotel,
Yes.
walk into the building, bearing in mind that Lamada Hotel is very near some people who are deep and dark, the
Absolutely.
deep state,
Yes.
who would be doing such things.
Absolutely.
Then you take minutes of your meeting.
Yes.
And
You're
everybody
seen
is
by
watching
everyone, and then you plan an assassination attempt in
On
this
the DP.
very, very public meeting.
And everybody is watching you. At the lobby, ministers are walking with their bodyguards, their cars out there with flags, nice limousines.
No,
We are
sincerely,
walking
just
and we are going to
Yeah, no,
plan
I think
an
everything
assassination.
about this story seems very unlikely.
It's-
It seems
Something
very unlikely.
doesn't add up.
Yeah,
It doesn't
but
add up.
But the scary part is this.
Only in Russia.
Only in Russia. that a cabinet secretary is talking about his immediate boss, who's his deputy president. But let me put it this way. Let's imagine cabinet meeting at State House, walking, pa.
Okay,
They sit-
mental
they-
image is enough.
Yeah, they sit on the table. William Ruto is seated here. Right opposite him is CS Munya.
Okay.
Next to him is Moshero.
Yeah.
Next to him, Cecily Kariuki. Do you think cabinet will happen? My point is this. If Uhuru Kenyatta thinks that politics is the biggest hindrance to development and to his legacy, this is probably the biggest spanner in the works. Because the fight will not emanate in the political space of parliament. It's going to be from within State House.
Yeah.
Are you trying to say that the president tried to steer us away from politics and to development, and that in doing that, he's actually bred more politics?
Absolutely.
I mean, of course, this is a juicy story. Everyone is talking about it, but
Absolutely.
we'll see what happens.
Yes.
Okay, on to the headlines. What do we say about these headlines? Personally, I
Yeah.
feel like just saying the criteria and we toss them all.
No, I want to talk about what Murathe said.
I say let's possibly take the Star and the Standard
Yes.
together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, the Star and the Standard. Uhuru allies back Tuju on Ruto threat, and Murathe, Uhuru will not hand power to a thief.
Yeah. Common factor of everything that we have said
Yes.
is William Ruto. But I want to address what Murathe said, that Uhuru will not hand power to a thief. And it is true, he said that. And yes, that's what he said. And in my view, I don't think it was prudent to say it. Because come 2022, and I told you people
Yes.
what I've learned from Prof, that power behaves like an hourglass. And you're making fun of how you say a grain of salt. But you know, an hourglass has 2 compartments. The first one, the top one, is filled with sand, but sand drops slowly to the second compartment, to the lower one, all right? By 2022, there will be no grain of sand left on the top one, all right? Meaning power has already cascaded. Now, what power is Murathe talking about? Because by 2022, the Constitution has timed it that Uhuru Kenyatta will not have any power.
However, isn't the reality of this matter that Uhuru still is the leader of the Gama nation?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He has not told us who his successor is.
Absolutely.
The Gama nation is abandoning him. I'm just asking. Because
Absolutely.
I don't know where we're going with this. So, Tuja, you had a point. What were you telling us?
No, I was just saying, up until the point he tells us who his successor is,
yes,
that power is still his.
No,
it is his to hold.
It is very true. However, come 2022,
it'll still be his up until he says who his successor is.
Well, you're right to some extent.
What do we say about the headlines? Tuju allies back, Uhuru allies back Tuju on Ruto threat. Murathe, we will not hand over power to a thief. Do we keep them? Do we toss them? We have a 3-part criteria that we use to break down the headlines for you. We ask ourselves 3 questions. Is this headline topical or is it speculative? Is this headline repetitive or is it groundbreaking? And is this headline thoughtful or just plain lazy?
Before we say anything, I want to go back to Ruto assassination.
Hey!
What a Monday.
Is he without a point?
Who?
William Ruto. Assuming he's the one who called DCI. Let's assume Munya is right.
Is
William Ruto without a point?
Yes. Look.
Okay, what I'm trying to say that where there's smoke, there's a fire.
Yes.
So they may not have gone to plan an assassination attempt on him.
Yes.
But there is a play somewhere on his life, and what he's trying to do is call on the public attention to this play.
But isn't it so perfect to do that? Have you heard that phrase? He who smelt it dealt it.
Whoa.
Yes, and it's in reference to other bodily functions, but...
No, my question is, I mean, if you're the one, if you want to bring attention to something that might happen...
Well, it's true.
Absolutely.
That's the best way to call everyone's attention to that. It's like, beware of pickpockets, and then we rob you, because you're already aware.
Or on the flip, he could be doing this. Maybe there's something he wants us to look at his assassination. But something else could be, they could be planning something else elsewhere. And I will stop there.
I'd say that if at all you have a play on your life or you're fearing for it, and all of the headlines are on you, left, right, and center, it's better to be safe than to be sorry.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I presume we're tossing the papers, yes? Yeah, we're tossing them. Okay, finally.
For no work on SGR line.
Look, in project management, not all components will go right. If compensation has not happened, it is because of a certain reason. It could be because of legal reasons. Probably they don't have money. Who knows? Right? And there will be a cost. So they are telling us what is expected to happen. To me, nothing new. They're just manufacturing.
I just think it's unfortunate that because of there's some people who have a right to claim their compensation are not receiving it, and they mention that in the article.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And then other people who do not have a right to receive it because they were inflating the cost of their land should not receive it.
There's monkey business.
There is monkey business.
And that's perhaps why there's a delay. You see, you'd rather have a delay, pause on the money, standardize the compensation, then pay everyone at the same time rather than having a disparity between what someone is paid.
Because I think the toss-up is, I think they said that we'd be losing 21 million shillings per day, as opposed to just halting the money and not paying these people until they can ascertain where the shadiness lies. So I think, let's wait.
I think we just wait. They just want to manufacture.
But otherwise, it's a boring headline.
Yeah.
For being honest.
We have no winning headline. And on to the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Just like the headlines, we have a 3-part criteria that we use to break them down for you. We ask ourselves 3 questions. Is the cartoon humorous or is it dry? Is it satirical or is it pessimistic? And finally, is it effective or just plain lazy?
Whoa.
And the award goes to...
let's first describe this guy. Ozone and the caricature of captured MP Oscar Sudi, and he's taking a bow. But Ozone is being sarcastic, and he says an Oscar for Sudi for acting so cool in Parliament, because there's a report that has come out that Oscar Sudi has not said a word since he entered Parliament. But then I say, what is wrong with that? If they ask his constituents whether he has worked for them, the people they should actually work with is because he works for his constituents.
Of course.
Parliament is just a theatre where he agitates for them. But
we hope that is where he would be working for them by creating laws that help them. But by refusing to speak.
He's a political animal. Let him make speeches at stadiums, which is fine.
How is that helping his people?
I'm sure he goes to lobby for roads in government offices. He goes to electricity house.
I think the drawing of Sudi, I think it's funny. Him
Fantastic.
bowing. I love the yellow tie.
Yes.
The wordplay, I think it's far too obvious for me. An Oscar for Sudi. Come
Performance
on.
index.
Performance index. Yeah. As in same old Ozone. You write too much. Just get to the point. I can't. Yeah.
Ozone, I like this. Very good.
Also, maybe a reference to the cartoon of the year. I think we transformed that.
Yeah.
Perhaps Sudi is gagged. He is unable to speak. Not that he doesn't want to, he cannot.
And now that we're going to see that Ndula's not present in the nation today, maybe this is Ndula as Ozone here today.
It could be. What do we say about the cartoon, by the way? Are we tabling it or are
Let's
we tossing
table
it?
while we look at...
Guys,
Oi.
didn't Iga once draw this cartoon?
Buy one,
time
get one
back.
free.
Yes, no, it was something to do with betting, I believe.
I don't know. I feel like all his cartoons do look very similar.
They're
Anyway,
very, very
describe
similar.
it first.
It's caricature of a pig. I think he stole this from Gado, right? And the pig, right next to the pig is a gunia of old 1,000 bob notes, and he's holding a placard saying, "Buy one get one free."
Yeah.
And
On a
he's-
street corner,
He's on,
like-
he's on a street corner, and it shows corrupt people are
They're trying to get rid of their...
yes, they're trying to
their stashes.
Yes, they're trying to get
I
rid
didn't
of.
even think about being corrupt people trying to get rid of their stashes. It felt to me like, you know, if you've ever used a matatu and you walk in town
Yes.
in the evening when the hawkers are out, because there's a reference to it being kind of like later in the day, matatus are going, and then
Yes.
you're hawking your wares there waiting.
Yes,
In case
at-
Kajo comes, you just
night.
pick up the bag and
Yeah.
run.
And behind them is a club.
like a disco going
people
on.
are dancing, guys are having fun, and that's the time he's chosen to clean out his
Yeah.
money.
I think this is the issue we constantly have with Iga.
Yeah.
We have no context from where his cartoons are coming from.
Yes.
There's nothing in particular that has...
I feel like
Force
what
this
is
to-
happening is today, and I will preempt the conversation, we don't have an editorial cartoon in the Standard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Nation picked one of the stock ones. I think
That is exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
they keep stock
One-
cartoons.
Dula's missing from action. Yeah,
Yes.
we're saying that Gado is not here.
Yeah.
Where's
It's a stock
Gado?
cartoon. I don't know.
I've tossed that for you.
And toss.
I tell you,
How are we
Gado
keeping
is
this?
Gado went to Kisumu.
How are we keeping this? There is no editorial cartoon.
Yeah, I think we're gonna toss this as well. Yes,
This-
there's no
this-
cartoon.
This is nonsensical.
So, what do you guys think about Ozone?
I don't know. I don't mind.
Trust TJ to ask this question in a hooded way.
I like it, although it's a bit sarcastic.
It's not going to win because it's...
Let
Toss it.
me help you guys. Yeah. All right.
We have no winning cartoon either.
Yeah.
What's our final thought today?
And now our final thought, inspired by two great gentlemen. One behind Apple, behind iPhone, behind iTunes. His name is Steve Jobs. Second, and you'll tell me the others, he's done. Second is, what's this guy's name? Bill Gates, right? The man behind Microsoft. Two great gentlemen, probably the wealthiest IT gurus on earth, or maybe in our time.
Perhaps.
Biggest takeaway from me from these two gentlemen is the power of being different. And Steve Jobs, while quoting a man called Henry Ford, a man who co-founded Ford, the car maker,
Yeah.
and he said, if I asked people what they wanted, now there's Henry Ford telling a story. If I asked people what they wanted, they would say they wanted a faster horse,
Yeah.
right? And that's primarily because people do not know what they want. And that in the power of differentiation, and I read a quote from him, and he said that once you discover one simple fact, that is everything around you, that you call life, was made up by people that were no smarter than you. Right? And I take this, and I was thinking about it, that while I was reading these works of these two guys, that I was reading a book without reading it. Okay? And what occurred to me is the book that we've read, The Outliers,
Yes.
the Power of Why, and The Alchemist. And in The Alchemist, he found something that was deep within, but for him to find it, he had to
go on a journey.
He had to go on a journey.
Yeah. So the common denominator between these two men, and I think this is a theme that we're going to go through throughout this week,
Yes.
is college dropouts.
Yeah.
And so we're not telling you guys to drop out of college, but we're just trying to look at these paths that these people took and how
Absolutely.
sometimes they found success,
Yeah.
but some of the people we'll discuss this week also did not find success in dropping out of college.
Yeah.
So I think the salient thing we might discuss today is that these people did not become successful because they dropped out of college. There was a passion that they had deep within them that told them that maybe university is not the path through which I will find this success. Maybe I'll just drop out. A degree is not going to give it to me because I know what I want to do. So Steve Jobs, he enrolled at Reed College in 1972, but he was not passionate about his degree. So he chose to drop out. But what he ended up doing was auditing some of the courses in his university. And one of the courses that he singles out as having a really huge impact on his future job was a calligraphy class. And he says that that calligraphy class is what helped him develop the fonts that we now see on computers. So he actually says, without having gone for that class, we might not have the fonts on computers that we see today. So that one class that he took by mistake inspired so much of what he then started to do. So Steve Jobs is considered an essentialist. So he reduced his object of focus to the essentials, to the priorities that he needed to focus on. So once he would focus all his energy on one task. And once he was done with that, then he would move on to something else. And he took things and he compartmentalized them. And for him, passion was a very important thing. He was not passionate about school. So he said, let me do away with this and focus on the thing that I want to do. Bill Gates, on the other hand, he enrolled at Harvard in 1973. So when he took the SAT exams, which is what you take before you go to college, he scored 1,590 out of 1,600.
Whoa.
Yeah, he's a smart guy. So he didn't have a plan while he went to school. He wanted to do law like his father, but eventually he found that he had this business acumen for computer and all that kind of stuff, and he wanted to really focus on that. So he dropped out of college, and he became a millionaire by the age of 26. Yeah, that is incredible.
We missed that window.
Yes, we missed that. No, there's still time. I speak for myself. So I think one really important quote that we can use to ground this conversation is something that Steve Jobs quoted in an ad that he did in 97. And he says, the people who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones who actually do it. So it's not that they dropped out because they had a plan, but they were crazy enough to focus on this one thing that they had a lot of passion for, that they hoped would then guide them somewhere. And as you said with that book, Simon Sinek, they had a why. They knew what they were starting with in order to guide them into this. They didn't know where they were going.
Actually, they didn't know where they were going.
But they had a passion for this one specific thing.
I think the thing I can focus on both of them, and I'm going to call it, the way you're saying they didn't know where they were going, I'm going to give this a name, and I'm going to call it serendipity. So serendipity is what happens when you stumble upon an occurrence, or something happens to you that was by chance or unplanned, but works out in the end for you. And I think there's a way in which we can look at Steve Jobs and Bill Gates and think that they are the rule. But they actually, you're right, they're outliers, they're the exceptions. They were born at a particular time, colonial moment, if I can call it, in times of technology. One of them had really a head start. He was born in a well-off family and was in the only high school that had access to a mainframe computer. By the time he was in high school, he knew how to write the unique code that mainframe computer needed.
That's Bill Gates.
This is Bill Gates. And for Bill Gates, it was ridiculous. It used to punch holes. It was a ridiculous type of coding that he actually knew how to do. So he was present at a moment when he could utilize that knowledge that he had to his business advantage. And you are right that he did have a really good business acumen. And he made the best business decisions he could ever make. One of them was making sure that his operating system, because that's what he then made, the system on which all personal computers would operate on, he made sure that he could sell it to anyone, regardless of who manufactured the computer. So software was king in computer business, and he was the one who.
And you see that today. You open any computer, and what are you likely to see? Microsoft.
Coming up at you. But the other guy who was also quite innovative was Steve Jobs. But he had absolutely zero computer knowledge. In fact, he needed his friend Steve Wozniak to do all of the computer things. But what he focused on was the beauty and the experience. And I think maybe we needed that as users, and me, I'm a follower of the Apple train. That you needed to have a guy.
What about the rest?
The rest of you are followers of. I will not mention.
Say
it. Of thievery. No offense, but That Bill Gates robbed Steve Jobs of his greatest ideas, and you're here pimping them as Microsoft users and feeling so good about yourselves.
They
but
have to
not
be
the point.
Yeah.
Not the point.
Yeah.
What he did was he focused on the user experience, and perhaps not being a techie, he then looked away from this techie perspective and was able to say, how can I make an experience that is user friendly? That's easy. A kid can use it. An adult can use it. The masses can use it. And that's how we got iPad, iPod, iPhone, all of these things that we use and we love today, because he wanted a user experience that was easy and intuitive.
Yes, he made those shops look like temples, I hear. He was looking for...
No, that's true. Steve Jobs wanted a congregation.
Yes.
He wanted people who would fall at the feet of his product, you know, as unchristian as it is to say that.
Yes.
But I think the thing about Bill Gates with the Microsoft, it's generic.
Yes.
And it's not to say that it's bad, it's just that they both had two different perspectives of the audience that they wanted to capture.
Yes.
Bill Gates wanted a wider audience. He wanted to be able to get everybody in on the market.
Yes.
But Steve Jobs wanted to be able to control his user's experience. Exactly what you said.
Absolutely.
What Ford said. The consumer doesn't know what he wants. So I'm going to determine for you what you want. And you don't even know that you want it until you see it, then you can't live without it.
Yeah, that's very true.
You know, the common thread here is innovation. And Prof says that if you want money to come your way, you've got to solve a problem. And I will read it. And you have to be different, right? And I will read something Steve Jobs said. He said that here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify them, and vilify them. About the only thing that you cannot do is ignore them because they change things.
This is Winning Headlines. We do not have a winning headline, and we do not have a winning cartoon. Continue to be a square peg in a round hole. Because it's that person who refuses to fit in who changes the world. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.